everyone. My wife and I have had this 2019 Volvo XC90 T6 Inscription for, I would say, almost 2 years now. We had a Lexus RX 350 before that we really liked and appreciated, but that was just getting to the end of its life. And so as we were looking to replace that as it neared close to 200,000 miles, my wife had always really liked Volvo and had previously owned Volvos, and so I said, okay, well, let's give it a shot. So we went and test drove a bunch of cars, and basically, drove an XC90, a couple XC90s from different places, and I was really impressed, actually. And we looked at a couple other vehicles as well, but she really liked these, and so I was, for that reason, I was willing to, buy this vehicle. But for me, as a car guy, I actually really like this vehicle, and so I wanted to just share why and what were the reasons that ultimately sold it, and then a little bit about my experience so far. So, number one, I would say I think the styling is the first thing that I see. It's very conservatively styled, and I just think that the style has been pretty timeless since it released. They released them. They've just recently, I think for 2014 or 2015, came out with kind of a slightly updated styling, but generally the vehicle is all looking very similar, which I think that's great. As opposed to some vehicles that every 6 years, the styling can be different. I really like the exterior. I thought it was a very understated but very classic, timeless look. But then on the inside and the interior for this inscription package, I thought this wood was just beautiful. It felt like real wood. It felt like something that was much nicer than what I had seen in many of the other Audis and BMWs and others that we saw at that same price point. So maybe, in theory, maybe I'm getting a better value by buying a Volvo for the price compared to BMW and Audis. Maybe there's a premium on those vehicles. I don't know, but for whatever reason, the styling of this inscription I thought was really, really nice, with the wood and the leather and some of the features. Second, I would say, is this panoramic sunroof. This thing is, basically front and back seat. I think it is just awesome. When you sit in the back seat, it is, it feels like you're not enclosed in a vehicle. It really feels like you can really see the inside and outside. And the same goes for, really when you're driving as well. In fact, it can be sometimes too much sun here where we live in Texas. But it's a really, I love that. So number 2 is sunroof. Number 3 is the performance. So we got the T6, which has, I think, around 316 horsepower. And the T5 has, I think, around 250 horsepower. And, it's a 4-cylinder platform that they basically, on the T5, they supercharge, and then on the T6, they add a supercharger on top of that. To be honest, that level of compression in the engine, just, from a reliability standpoint, just makes me feel a little uncomfortable. I will say that. And, it's really important to change the oil every 5,000 miles with turbo vehicles. This is a common theme, though, in the industry. Is like almost every vehicle now, it seems like, has lowered the number of cylinders and just added a turbo, including, Ford F-150s and other full-size pickup trucks. It's just, I guess, where the emissions standards have gone in the last 5 to 10 years. Obviously, it's something that you see very common in your few vehicles. But anyway, with the reliability aside, and so far, in the 2 years we've owned it, it's been fine. We haven't had any actually is really fast. And for a mid-size, kind of full-size, I don't know what you would exactly call the size of this vehicle. It's it has a lot of good speed and pickup for basically a 4-cylinder turbo and supercharged engine. You can put it into performance mode, dynamic mode, which is a high performance mode, which changes I think some of the throttle responses as well. And it really just from a red light, being kind of a minivan dad of sorts, it gives me enough power, access to power. If I'm from 0 to 60, but then also on the interstate, we're going at high speeds at 60 miles an hour. If I want to pass somebody or get around, it has that access to power on the high end as well. So overall performance, I've been really happy with it for a kind of a very tame, refined SUV. And then I would say number 4 is really just the brand perception. So I think this is a part of a decision that everybody makes at some level. Some people are less brand conscious, but certainly Mercedes and BMW, there's a certain brand perception that comes with that. I personally am not against those, but in where we live in Dallas, they're pretty common to see. You see Mercedes and BMW everywhere, Audis as well. Those are kind of like the trifecta. So to have a Volvo is to have something a little bit different. It also, I don't think it comes with maybe some of the same potential perceptions. I don't know, but I think ultimately we just liked the idea that it probably wasn't what everybody else had. It was a little bit unique in that, and it doesn't quite have that perception of being very affluent or something. But it's just it's a great car. That may not be for everybody. Everybody has different reasons for buying different brand vehicles, but in terms of brand perception, I like the fact that that was the case. And then I'd say the last thing, number 5, is really safety. We haven't had any, thankfully, haven't had any issues, we haven't been in any accidents. But obviously having a small family, a family of small children, it just gives you a peace of mind to know that we've got a car seat in the back here. So that's our little one who's about a month old, and then our toddler who's about 2. And just to know that these vehicles are super well known for their safety and the frame and all of the way it's designed, really just gives me peace of mind. Not as the most important thing, but certainly it is a major selling point to it. So that's my experience. Kind of what sold me on the Volvo XC90. It's been a great vehicle so far, and really think you might check it out too. Okay, so that's been my perspective on the Volvo XC90. 2019 is the year that we have. Would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about these cars? What has been your experience with reliability? And if you've owned these before?